Hi, my name is Fennell Belfort, and today is the 22nd. So today we'll be going over the different ocular structures of the cow's eye. So we did the cow eye dissection, and we're going to be going over the different components of the ocular structures. Notes that I have is just a checklist of the different things I'm supposed to be going over. A couple of the structures it will be very hard to show in the video because it kind of got messed up during the dissection, like the aqueous humor. As we're cutting down, basically the aqueous humor started splashing everywhere, so it's kind of hard to even show the aqueous humor here. But to start out, I'll start with the anterior, I believe she said anterior and posterior cavity. At my school, it's called the anterior and posterior segments. I believe that's the same thing we're talking about here. So if we have the lens here, this is the lens, the little orange structure over here. If I put my hand right over here and my hand is the lens is going to separate the anterior and posterior cavity, or anterior and posterior segments essentially. On focusing on the anterior segment, we have the aqueous humor. The aqueous humor was the gelatinous structure that started, as soon as I had this sharp knife here and I started going around the cornea, basically the aqueous humor just started splashing everywhere, so I can't even show the aqueous humor on this part. So if I open, on the interior part here, we have the cornea. Here's our cornea right over here. So behind here, we have the lens. So I have the lens in my hand right over here. On the inner part over here, we have the pupil and the iris. Now, those two structures are going to regulate the amount of light that goes in the eye. That'll basically essentially allows us to see. It goes to the retina essentially. Phototransduction is a whole process. I don't even have to get into the details. But our pupils and our iris are essentially right in the interior right over here. So as I mentioned before, on the anterior segment, you have the aqueous humor, you have your cornea right over here, and the lens right over here, which separates the anterior and posterior segment. So now moving on to the posterior side of things, if we look on the anterior part here, make sure you can see it, hold up. Wow, I need a better angle so you can see it. The orange, this orange component right over here, or white component right over here. If I try to pull on this, I actually can't. That's because that's our retina right over here. So literally right over here is the retina. And let me mention another major component. So here's our retina. Can't connect anything here because on the back over here you have your optic nerve. So here's the optic nerve over here. This is our retina. So if my retina is right here, that means essentially the choroid is going to be real close by. So the black component right over here, that's the choroid. And if I go on the tip part right over here, you're going to see the white structure going around. Essentially, that's the sclera. It's going to start on the back over here and work our way around. That's essentially the sclera. So we have the anterior segment, we have the posterior segment, here's our retina, the choroid, and essentially the sclera. Let me see if I'm missing any other components. The optic nerve, the retina, the choroid. I believe that's all the structures we're supposed to be going over. Like I said, some of the structures unfortunately got messed up during the dissection. I couldn't show the aqueous humor. The vitreous I couldn't really show. But aside from that, most of the structures are pretty similar as far as what we see in the human eye versus what we see in the cow's eye as well.